I do remember there was a time where I was working with a particular survivor, and I can share her name because we did a podcast on this subject, and her name was Elena. And she had been involved in a number of projects, including MK Ultra and Project Montauk, which was a time travel project of the U.S. government off the, you know, in Camp Hero, which is at Point Montauk, New York. And through the course of the work that we had done together, she had been visited by a number of angels, and one of them was Gabriel. And, he had communicated a number of things to her, which I then received in email form, which was very interesting. And it was always interesting how she would communicate with the angels, and they would just show up kind of and talk to her. But there was a certain point during her journey where it became clear that she was supposed to go to Montauk, and God actually spoke to me and said, you're going to go with her. And so in 2016, which was last year, we planned a trip it was either March or April. Now, I can't remember the actual date because I didn't go back in my notes, but it was a very, very significant weekend. So I flew out to New York, and she drove up from where she lives, and we went to Montauk. And I remember leading up to that, God had been speaking to me a lot, and he downloaded to me a 3-page, and this was a single space, 3-page prophetic word on what he wanted decreed at Montauk, New York, where they did all of these time travel experiments, and that was, of course, kind of awkward. This was one of the first times that I had gone anywhere in the United States to do any type of territorial warfare. So I scribed this prophetic word. It took me several days, and I'm actually going to read the first page of that prophetic word right now so that people can get an idea of just how intense the language was. But I'm going to tell you the story before I do that. As we got there, we went out the day that we were supposed to do this particular piece of warfare. And I remember that, the reports came back the night before. There were a number of survivors that we knew of personally who evil spirits had come to that night and tried to pull out of body so that they could join the ranks of evil spirits that were going to try to resist us in that region. So we're actually getting reports, people, they're like, yeah, they tried to pull me out of my body that night and take me here and so forth. And so it was very, very interesting. It was actually a really big deal. And I was expecting that it was going to be this massive storm and all these dark clouds and everything funny going on. Actually, it wasn't that at all. One of the things God had told me before we got there is that the battle's already mine. The battle is the Lord's, and it's going to be a walk in the park. And I didn't understand just how literal that was. We went to Camp Hero, which is actually a national park now, parked and took a walk in the park. It was so funny, there's Chinese people and different kinds of people just touring the park and walking around. And so we took this giant bucket of oil and we poured it out and in the water, and we decreed this prophetic word. Well, there were some massive shifts that happened after that. And lo and behold, that was the weekend, and I don't know if you remember this, where they had planned to set up the pillar from the Temple of Baal in New York City in 2016. It was that weekend. They were planning to do this thing and begin to start on this construction or whatever. It got canceled. It actually got canceled that weekend as we were doing this. And there were other people that had visions of the spirit realm, and they saw the line of, assembled for battle actually going all up and down the entire eastern seaboard. It actually extended quite far. And Yet in the natural, there was virtually no significant thing that would say this massive battle is taking place. But what I'm drawing out is, as we're going through this exercise, like there is an encounter with Gabriel. There are other people having encounters saying they tried to pull me out of their body. There are visions coming back to us saying, yeah, and we saw the whole line of, angels and demons assembled for battle, and the angels' armies of the Lord assembled for battle. And so people are seeing all kinds of stuff in collusion with this event. The temple, this pillar construction with the pillar from the temple of Baal gets canceled that weekend. And, on top of that, there has been quite a shift, even in other areas since then, that speak to the idea that something very, very significant did happen at that time. For me personally, I had words of the Lord saying, yes, Daniel, there's going to be all these evil powers showing up. Satan himself is going to be there, so on and so. Did I see Satan show up with my physical eyes? No, I didn't. But it was a big day of warfare, and this is a piece of the language that we declared at Montauk. It said, "Thus says the Lord, the earth is mine, and all that is contained therein. I am bankrupting every contract, lease, and oath, entangling this land with your realms and plans and timelines, and I am taking it all back to myself. I am redeeming this land by an act of my own will and the strength of my own hand, and to every power that experienced increase and gain on account of what has been done, anchored, and leveraged through here, justice is being rendered to you this day. And I call you all to account to answer thus: have you done justly? Have you received of my abundance? Have you served me in the execution of your assignments? Have your courses and paths been established by my will? Are you certain of your strength? For this day I call heaven and earth to witness against you. I own it all, and what you have pirated shall be brought down in judgment. I will reduce you to that which is rightfully yours, and I will take that which is rightfully mine. I scoff at your timelines. They are weak and petty, and now behold, in the sight of all they are gone. Where are your timelines? I say you will not find them, not now nor ever again. I receive back to myself every pirated thing held therein. It is done. Fight now with your swords and shields, with your bows and chariots. Your abominations will not stand but fall before me, and all that is determined by the Spirit will not fail to be reflected in the natural. You are not my friends. You are enemies doomed and called to give an account for wrongs committed. How dare you think that I would permit my own overthrow under any circumstances? Do you not know my might? Have you not all beheld my own glory? Have you not been in my court seeking justice on account of my laws which change not, yet you fight against me? I judge you as defeated. I cast you down and decree that you are profane. My unknown armies do it. Overwhelm cannot describe the might and brilliance of who I am and the armies that subdue you now. I extinguish your battlefields. I extinguish your timelines. I extinguish your callings, which you deceitfully entangle men in. I extinguish your extensions, for you have lived lavishly on that which has been stolen and pirated from the abundance appointed to my people, which you have hijacked. I decree that on account of the witness against you, what has been ascertained by you is taken now. Some of you here will lose your whole realm. Others I call crippled beyond recovery. I bankrupt your new world order. I will provide for those that are mine, but you will not provide for those that are yours. Let you distinguish yourselves before me. I am Jehovah, the creator and maker of heaven and earth. You are created, you are fools and bastards. You are broken and cast down. Your power is not power, but delusion. I hate what you have done. I hate what you have stood for, and I hate what you have promoted. Yet I, in my own ability, suffered long with you, that by my own rules and self-limiting restrictions overcome you on account of my own terms. And I shut your mouths and implode your vast armies you assemble unto yourselves. Your laboratories will go up in flames. Your networks will go up in flames. Your war rooms will go up in flames. Your technologies are taken from you. Your libraries are rooted out of their foundations and taken to my realm where you are not permitted. Heaven fights against you, and I with my own mouth condemn you. Power untold is wielded against you this day, for this is the day you contend with God Most High, and I dominate you out of the abundance of my own glory, and out of the resonations of my incomprehensible love you are impaled. I will have my way, and not one of you here can stop me. So if you can imagine, that was just page one. We went on, but it was a significant decree. And it was quite a wild ride. The entire account is actually on YouTube, and it's called Montauk Boots on the Ground. So anyone that finds this and wants to hear the whole story can always reference that at YouTube.